Reporting or report writing is a very important element in any organization. This is one of the reasons that report writing has become an integral part of teaching at various BS programs, whether you are doing engineering, you are doing business management, you are doing accountancy, or any other discipline. Report writing is always included, and the purpose is that you should get an idea that what is a report, why a report is written, what are the types of the reports, what are the parts of a report, how should be the language of a report, what should be its font, so that once you go to the job in your office, if you are asked to write a report, and definitely in various capacities, whether you are at the junior level or the middle management level or at the top tier, you have to read, you have to write, and you have to present reports. The nature of a report definitely varies from level to level, from position to position, and from responsibilities to responsibilities. So, considering the importance, I am making a second video on report writing, and if the need be there, I will make another video as well, and that in that video we can focus on sample report and go through its different parts. In previous video, I simply defined what is a report, what are the types of report, and what are the parts of a report, and what are the qualities of a report. Here I am going to briefly explain those parts so that you can get a fair idea. So these are 9 different parts of a report today I'm going to talk about. Number 1 is letter of transmittal. Number 2, abstract, table of contents, list of figures, list of tables, acknowledgements, introduction, results and discussion, references, conclusions and recommendations. Of course, the references come at the end of a report. Before that, we have to write conclusions and recommendations, and before that, we write results and discussions. What is letter of transmittal? Letter of transmittal is basically an optional part of a report, and it is included if the report is being submitted for an official purpose. We can say that reports can be of generally 2 types: formal reports and informal reports. Those which are informal reports, they are not heavily documented, they are not very much references. These can be presented formally, verbally or non-verbally as well, because these are informal. But once we are going for a formal report and your boss has asked you to write a report on some issue, on some technical problem, then it is better to include a letter of transmittal. So this letter of transmittal is addressed to the person the report is intended to reach. But is included in the letter of transmittal, it includes the name of author, title of the report, and purpose for its submission. As I shared earlier, that it is written on a separate sheet of paper and it is not bounded to the actual report. You just place it over the report and you send it. Abstract, those of you who have done research, they know very well what is the meaning of abstract. Abstract is basically a very short and precise overview or the picture of your research, and here a very brief summary of your report. In abstract, you basically write what are the methods and what are the results and what are the conclusions of your report. And remember, here we are talking about formal reports. While writing your abstract as well as in your reports, you have to be concise. A one paragraph summary of the report is normally forms the abstract of that report. How to be precise, I have made a video onto that, one word substitutes, you can watch that. Similarly, I made a video on introduction to business letter. There I also shared some of the points. You can go through them and you can have some more ideas other than what you already have, how to be precise, to the point, relevant, and specific. It is better that if your abstract has a word limit, for example, you set a target that maximum there will be 500 words when you start writing an abstract. And maybe you end up with 700, 800 words, but then you have to go for editing and proofreading. You have to delete unnecessary information. You have to use precise one word substitutes where possible, unnecessary sentences, idioms, phrases, phrasal verbs, proverbs if you have added, because it is not a paper on literature. It is a very technical kind of writing. Business writing or commercial correspondence, these are very technical kind of writing where you have to be very short, precise, brief, but at the same time you have to maintain your clarity. After abstract, we have table of contents. In table of contents, what is it? It is basically list of what is in the report. Major sections of the report must be listed with page numbers, so it comes under the table of contents. Next is list of figures and tables. List of figures contains the listing of all the figures like drawings and graphs if you have used them in your report. And these are listed in consecutive order. It means that they appear in the report with figure captions and page number, and the sequence of your facts supported by figures is to be maintained. It should not be the case that you talk about how many employees have left the organization in the last 1 month and then you start uh, giving figure of the profits and loss of your company. So you have to be relevant. List of tables is similar to the list of figures, but for all the tables that appear in the report. So here, if you are using any table, so list of table will be separate one. Acknowledgements, this is very important part. The author or authors, if more than one people are working on a report, they must acknowledge every person involved in guiding, advising, and working on the report. If you do not acknowledge, what will happen? It shows a kind of moral lapse. Moral lapse, not in the particular sense, but you can say breach of etiquette and manners. And it will be treated as plagiarism, means that you have used ideas of other people, or maybe you have taken some data content which you add in your appendices, but you do not acknowledge who has helped you out. Traditionally, editor, proofreader, and fact checkers, they are not included among those acknowledged. Then comes introduction. Introduction, you straight away explain the importance of what is being reported. Introduction gives necessary concepts that were applied in order to obtain the results which are explained in the report. You have gone for interview, you have gone for telephone call, you have gone for survey, whether you have relied on the primary data or you have relied on secondary data, that is word of mouth from different persons. Then the next section is result and discussion. The results should be reported in table or graph format because it is easy to read a table or to see a graph, and visuals always appeal. You can use 1000 words, but one picture can convey the same meaning. So you have to be very wise and you have to broaden your range of choices. Report only the final results. Raw data and intermediate results that are not central to the topic of the report can be placed in the appendix if needed. So appendix or appendices, they are the edit pages which you add at the end of your report once you give your conclusions and recommendations, and after that you can add extra pages after references, and these are called appendices. Consider this section, result and discussion section, to be the meat of the report, while other sections constitute the rest of the ingredients. So it's very important. Result and discussion, these are very much important. What results you have drawn based on your research, based on your interviews, based on the data, and in what context you carry the discussion, whether you are subjective or you are objective. Subject means that you are giving your own opinions, but in a report you should remain objective. You should only talk in the language of the data you have obtained. What happened in the conclusion and recommendation section? Conclude what was discussed in the results and discussion section. Do not conclude anything that had not been discussed. Think of the conclusion as a short statement of important points being presented in the report. Once conclusions are made, make some recommendation as to the utilities of those conclusions. You draw the conclusion and you do not give a recommendation. Half of the report is dead then. Recommendations are very much important, and recommendations are always in line with the conclusion you have drawn. Both conclusions and recommendations may be in the form of descriptive paragraph, narrative paragraph. In references, you have to quote, you have to tell any idea, formula, etc., which is not yours and which you have borrowed, which you have copied. Otherwise, plagiarism will be applied on you. Failure to reference prior works may be interpreted as claiming those works to be your own. So always acknowledge. In research reports, there is literature review, and we should review what has already been written on the same topic and what is your contribution. A few of other points. While you're writing 12 points, serif typeface such as Times is standard for report writing. Black text and black or grayscale figures are adequate for most technical reports. Contractions are not used in formal writing. 1 inch on all sides is standard for margins in a loose leaf report. You can use 1.25 to 1.5 inch left margin for a bounded report so that your words are not bounded and the meaning is not distorted. And one last point, a formal report is written in third person. Thank you. How do you find this video? And if you want me to produce more content, do share in the content and I will come with another video on the same topic. Thank you.